Hi guys, welcome back to the Existential Vegan, X here. I had a request to show you guys how we make our roasted red pepper and tomato soup. So with the help of Mrs. X, let's go to the kitchen and start making it. Okay guys, so these are the ingredients involved. It's 5 tomatoes, 4 cloves of garlic, 1 onion, 1 red pepper. We'll be using half a can of tomato paste and a little bit of olive oil. So what we're going to do now is quarter the tomatoes, the onion, and the pepper, and we're going to half the garlic and spread it out in a baking tray. So this is the ingredients all cut up and put in a baking dish, and Mrs. X is just putting a little bit of olive oil on top, and we're going to bake it in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Something interesting to know is that you can cut up the tomatoes and the peppers ahead of time, put them in a big baggie, and put them in the freezer. And then whenever you want to make some soup, just take them out of the freezer, defrost them, and everything is cut up and ready to go. And all you need to cut up is your onion and your garlic. So into the oven it goes at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. So here's a shot of the ingredients, guys, if you want to pause the video. This is basically a vitamix recipe that we've tweaked a little bit. We put in a little more garlic than the recipe calls for. And depending on the size of the pepper, you can use 1 or 2 peppers. But this is the recipe, and you can see at the bottom you can put some spices in at the end. And the spices are your choice. We like to put in a dash of basil and paprika and a little salt and pepper. Okay guys, it's been 20 minutes. We just took this out of the oven, and you might even be able to hear it sizzling, but it's too hot to put in the Vitamix right now, so we're going to let it cool for 10 minutes, and then we'll put it in the Vitamix and we'll show you what we do next. Okay, so Mrs. X has just put the vegetables in the Vitamix, and as you can see there's some liquid left over in the baking dish. That's going to go in the Vitamix too, as well as a half a can of this tomato paste, maybe 2 tablespoons, and some basil and smoked paprika to taste, just a little sprinkle of each, and you can use whatever spices you want, and then we'll put in the vegetable broth. Okay, we're ready to add the broth. So Mrs. X is going to pour that into the Vitamix. She's basically going to pour it up to the max line, the 2-liter line, but it's roughly 2 cups. And then we're going to blend that for 5 minutes or so, because the Vitamix can make it hot. Unlike some of the other blenders, this is a high-speed blender. Okay, so while that's blending, we can go over the directions. You guys can pause this or take a screenshot. But these are the directions. Quarter your tomatoes, your pepper, and your onion. Half the garlic cloves. Spread out in a baking dish and drizzle with olive oil. Bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Let it cool, then add to the blender. And add your tomato paste, your vegetable broth, and spices. Blend it until hot. And then you're ready to serve or store or freeze. Okay guys, we've just blended it for 5 minutes. And there it is there. And we'll get Mrs. X to pour that in the bowl so we can see what it looks like. Look how creamy and delicious that looks. So that's the roasted red pepper and tomato soup. Very good for you. I love it with my favorite meal in the mornings. You get that tomato goodness inside. And a special thank you to Mrs. X. Thanks, Mrs. X.
You're welcome.
And that's the tomato soup, guys. I hope you have a good week or two, and I'll see you soon. And we'll probably have a nice talk about minimalism. Have a good week, guys.